While I can appreciate this perspective, I fundamentally disagree with it. So let me go down another rabbit hole here. Social justice communities lately have been arguing that bigoted ideas, this harmful speech should be suppressed because it allows the bigotry to spread and to be validated.
And again, I already made this point, but no, it's hate speech should not be limited because it's allowed to spread as long as it's not inciting hurt or violence of anybody. We should allow people to express what they need to express so that we can all have a dialogue and grow and learn from it. I just feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over again, but I am, because that's what it is. And this is why I get so frustrated. We cannot, because of our possible hurt feelings, limit ourselves to other people's perspectives and what we can learn from that or what they can learn from us. Otherwise, we're missing out on so much in life.
I'm thinking of campaigns to get people's Twitters banned, book deals canceled, talks canceled, things like that. Ironically, this sounds very similar to the logic that is used by the right to censor sex ed. Information about sex has been deemed too harmful to hear. It'll encourage immoral behavior and speed social decay. Two sides of the same coin. The question is, what counts as harm?
This is so fucking smart of you, Laci. I love this. Keep going, bitch. I love what you have to say.
To some, harm is a problematic opinion. Harm is hate speech. Harm is inciting violence. The other pole of this issue is the perspective that there is no such thing as harmful speech, that speech can't hurt you. Therefore, all speech should be permitted, no matter what. I fall somewhere between these two perspectives. My opinion is that speech can be emotionally harmful if it causes pain or shame or dehumanizes you. It can also be physically harmful if it incites or advocates violence against someone. But these two harms don't pose the same amount of threat to an individual in the context of political speech. So they shouldn't be treated as equal forms of violence.
Yes, queen. Yes. And this is what I have been trying to say for a long time. In the in the SJW communities, what we keep seeing over and over again is they act like hurtful words is the exact same sin as somebody slapping you in the face. And look, like I said, I grew up in a very Christian area, and it was very much like, well, every sin is equal. And I was always like, well, no, if I tell you to fuck up versus kill you, that's not, in my opinion, that's not equal in whatever God maybe is or isn't. And this is what I love, and this is what we have to respect, because when we try to act like those two things are the same and the same hurt, it downgrades it. So for instance, they scream about rape and rape culture, and you can't even make a joke about sex or about rape. So in that regard, is a joke about rape worse than an actual rape? Well, fuck, of course not, because that actually degrades the person's, if that person got raped, degrades their experience. The pains are different, and yes, they inflict, that will inflict on different ways depending on the person, but you can't lump the two in together. To me, it's literally disrespectful to experience. If
we're gonna say a slur is just as violent as punching someone in the face, to me, that minimizes the egregiousness of punching someone in the face.
Yes, it does, queen. Yes, it does. And I love that you're saying this shit. And I hope, and this is the great thing about Laci. She's got such a following of people who have that mentality watching her. Maybe her having this dialogue with her audience will open up so many people's minds to what she's saying. It's so fucking powerful.
So I tend to agree with the interpretation by a lot of human rights organizations, which is that harmful speech starts where it incites or advocates violence. I think the definition of harm is being pushed too far in regard to political speech, that this heightened level of sensitivity is actually resulting in some censorship. Not de jure like government censorship, the technical definition of it, but de facto censorship, in practice. By shutting down platforms for speech and driving it underground, or by making ideas too taboo to be allowed to talk about. I also feel like this approach doesn't very well promote social justice. For one thing, when you think about it, suppression of speech is just a band-aid. It doesn't really address the systemic inequality or the mentality that lies at the root of these problems.
Yes. It is a band-aid to not get to the root cause of an issue or a situation. And I feel when it comes to, anything socially, the way to get to the root cause is open dialogue. That's exactly what it is. It's the same as like when you're sick and they just keep, instead of finding the root cause of what's going on with you, they just keep giving you medicine as a band-aid at times, depending on what the illness is. You have to get to the root cause to actually heal what's going on with the individual or the person. And I feel like in this country, we are robbing ourselves of the ability to be able to have these kinds of open conversations, to be able to get to that point with one another. So we just keep putting band-aids over possible problems we all have because we're all too scared of offending or inciting whatever, or, you know, saying the wrong thing or being awkward, that we just don't talk. And I feel like, fuck it. I'd rather somebody talk about being a bigot, being a racist, being a whatever, and have that dialogue with me so we can figure out the root cause of why they would feel so much hate and maybe how to heal it, than just act like, no, you can't talk about it, which just puts a band-aid over it, makes them suppress it, and possibly just makes that hate fester and grow more and more. Like, what's the fucking point of that? It doesn't mean I'm saying we should be... Bless you. Again, I edited that in, and that's not from roommate. It doesn't mean that we should be socially okay with people rocking around saying awful things, but it means they have the right to do that, just as we have the right to come at them with open dialogue and conversation to try to get them to stop. And we have the right to look at them and say, I don't like that opinion, that's offensive. I don't want that around me. And I think that's what we should do.
It just sort of shuts the conversation down. It also has a clear backfire effect. It makes those poor, censored voices more sympathetic to a moderate audience. You know, case in point, Milo Yiannopoulos.
I'm excited to hear this one because I have gotten so much flack for liking some of what he has done and supporting some of what he has done. And you know what's crazy? And people still don't listen to this when I say this. I can like certain aspects of a person and not agree with everything else. For instance, Steve Harvey, I've made some videos supporting his memo to his staff of like, don't approach me, don't come in my dressing room unannounced, I'm tired of being taken advantage of. And people said, fact, he's a racist, he made a racist joke. And I know what you're talking about. Right, I didn't like his comment either. I don't agree with that. But just because I don't agree with certain things doesn't mean I can't agree with others. So I just wanted to point that out. I can absolutely agree with a lot of points Milo has and disagree with others. So let's see what she has to say about my possible bae. Oh, that's right. That means I've supported everything he's ever said or done.
I mean, what's the end goal here? Is it that, you know, only a very specific perspective can be heard in a philosophy journal exploring feminisms? Like, that strikes me as very contradictory. And more generally, should publications, you know, reject papers that don't agree with majority opinion? Like, that makes no sense. So this is a pretty big concern of mine, and, you know, I've felt this way for a long time. It affects my work, it affects the way that I can interact with people, the things I can talk about, the people I can talk to. And this is not to say that censorship doesn't occur on the right, because it absolutely does. They just tend to censor different issues. So where does this leave us? I want to continue these conversations, which is why soon I'm going to be launching a series of live debates with feminists and anti-feminists. So in the comments, let me know if you have an idea of someone that I should invite on, or if you have ideas of topics that we should debate. And as for that red pill.
Okay, so she didn't actually say anything about Milo Yiannopoulos because I wasn't sure where this is going. I just actually react to a lot of this real time. So I put the video up and I won't even watch it, or I'll watch a little bit of it and then I start reacting. So I love this, and I think we should applaud this more and more for anybody who has any sort of extremism to open their mind to other ideas and possibilities. So to that, Laci, good job. One other thing I think that's great that came from this was that Andy Worski, as I've talked about, Andy Worski had done a video about this, and he basically said, you know what, I think there were times I was even a little bit harsh on her, and he even apologized. That's fucking amazing. Like, what, like, how awesome is this situation? I feel like this is not just a feel-good situation, this is a win for everybody on the internet, for free speech, for ideas, and like I said before, this is such a powerful moment, because here's the great thing: when you come from one extreme, like she's been in a real extreme place that a lot of us haven't agreed with a lot of her ideas. When she starts to swing back and comes to the middle, well, she has an audience of people that is full of extremists, you know, extreme feminists or extreme SJWs who completely agree with her old opinions. She's now able to influence and open those minds to a totally different way of thinking. Again, it's fucking powerful. To me, this is like a form of like spirituality. This is amazing. And I think this should be applauded. And the fact that Andy stepped up and even apologized, that's amazing. Like, what a fucking wonderful moment for the internet. So, hope you enjoyed this. Continue to be blessed yourselves, be blessed to others. Continue trying to find the joy and the sparkles and all the bullshit in the world. And I continue to challenge you to open your mind to alternative ideas. Open your mind to things you just don't at all agree with. Open your mind and open dialogue when you feel it's possible and pertinent and helpful without you being in danger to other people's different ideas. Because you never know what you can learn about yourself, other people, and the world, and how it can reshape your thinking and your overall information and wisdom. It's fucking wonderful. I love it. I'll see you guys later. Mwah! Goodbye.